Hello everyone, it's Crazy Mike 1706. How you guys are all doing? I hope you're throwing up the horns to the sky to the day you die as always. And I'm here to review WWE's Extreme Rules 2012. I thought it was a good show, a great atmosphere, fun night of professional wrestling. Let's get started with the review. Like mentioned in the introduction, the Chicago crowd was amazing. Hats off to you guys. You did an amazing job. I'll give you guys a round of applause. You really set the tone. Great crowd. Now, Chicago is not as great as New York City, but I'll give it this. It has almost the same atmosphere with a lot less ignorance, making the shows extremely well. Now, Orton and Kane. All right, wasn't the best match ever, but for some reason, it was extremely fun and enjoyable. They really pandered to the crowd, especially the times that they fought in it. Everybody was really into the match, and the story pit Orton against this monster, and every time he tried to rally against him, all Kane had to do was just throw that one big right hand, and the momentum would shift. But like I said before, they did a lot of pandering to the crowd. Orton was extremely over, and I really like Randy Orton better as a face. He's much better as a face than a heel, and the focus was primarily on him. But still, I can't describe it. This match was just really fun. It really got a lot of people emotionally invested. It wasn't the most technical, it wasn't the most brutal, but it just had something special to it. It just had a certain element that some matches just don't have. And so, like stating before, they were really progressing on Randy Orton's character. And one thing I found interesting was the fact that whenever he couldn't put Kane away, he didn't do the typical, put your hand on your head like, oh my God, I can't put him away, what do I do? It was more or less like, okay, I can't put him away with this move, here's what I'm going to do next, and this is surely going to put you away here. And so, yeah, what can I say? Very good match. I really enjoyed myself, and let's move on. Brodus Clay versus Dolph Ziggler. This was a filler match. It was there to cool down the crowd from a very hot opener. And so it was still kind of fun due to the fact that the crowd was so behind Dolph Ziggler. I mean, he was extremely over. And yeah, they knew it was a filler match, but you have to love how they were still into it, still passionate about it. And it served the purpose. Like I said before, it was meant to the Big Show. The story of the match was, how is Cody Rhodes going to put Big Show through a table? And during this match, it seemed like Big Show didn't really care too much about the win. He just wanted to hurt Cody Rhodes as badly as he could. And Cody Rhodes, he sold greatly for the Big Show. And I mean, he sold to him well. Like, he was getting tossed around like 10 feet in the air. Now, the ending, it made sense, but I didn't agree with it because, and this is a spoiler alert, it made me think then, okay, then why did you take the title of Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania in the first place? But one thing I found interesting was that Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole argued over the rules. So maybe they did it as a cliffhanger. And the crowd, they asked for it one more spot, and Big Show delivered, and they went completely crazy. So you gotta love that. My match of the night, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. Like I said, this match was like the other matches, a lot of story and psychology revolving around it. Sheamus at first was trying to wrestle Daniel Bryan, showing him that, hey, I can go with you. But once he noticed that that wasn't working, he said, to hell with that, I'm going back to my bread and butter. And Daniel Bryan is such an amazing wrestler, man. And here's another reason why. Look how big Daniel Bryan is. Look how big Sheamus is. Who would think that a guy like Daniel Bryan could just overpower to an extent and completely overwhelm Sheamus? But look, he did it in such a believable fashion. He was able to use his superior wit, his superior cardio, his superior skill, and there goes a motorcycle, which I will get one soon. And so he made it look extremely believable that he was able to just dominate this big man, working over the shoulder, constantly outsmarting him, outstepping him. And I love the fact how Sheamus sold the fact that he was getting tired, because Daniel Bryan was being advertised as the man with the much better cardio. And this match was very very dramatic at times, very dramatic most of the times, kind of slow, too slow here and there, but it was still a very good match with a lot of storytelling, and the falls made a lot of sense. But I feel that the ending could have been a little bit more dramatic. Maybe they could have ended the match with a series of moves, because this match, much like the Kane and Orton match, you didn't know exactly when it was going to end, but right before it was going to end, right before they were going to do the take-home spot meaning the spot that ends the match, you already saw what was going to happen. But it wasn't too bad. But like I said before, it could have had more drama at the actual ending itself, but still, good match. Just the ending, it pretty much just came out of nowhere. It could have been set up a lot better. It could have been a lot more surprising. So right afterwards, we had an extremely boring promo that I really didn't care too much about, as they're trying to promote Rob Van Goldberg, okay? Because that's pretty much what he looks like, or Ryback. Just another filler match. I really just don't care. So now let's move on to CM Punk versus Chris Jericho. Two of the best ever. The storyline was very good coming into it. And during the match, much like the Big Show match, it seemed like Jericho wasn't that much worried about winning. You know, he played the idealistic heel. He played a very old school heel, slowing down the match, not caring too much about being entertaining, and just playing off the fact that he's just nothing more than a showboater. He was just there to embarrass CM Punk as much as he could, and again, didn't really care too much to win the title as much as promoting his own ego. Like I said before, and I will repeat myself, definitely a much more old school approach of playing the heel. The spots that really stood out to me was the fire hydrant spot. You know, Punk was under the circumstances and he was able to pull a fire hydrant out of nowhere. That I really liked. The elbow to the outside was great. The crowd went extremely crazy, but there was too much lying around throughout the match, and it was dragged a bit, but you can't really blame them, because sometimes, you know, wrestlers are given a certain time limit and they have to do what they have to do. Now, both of these guys are extremely great wrestlers, don't get me wrong, but the chemistry between the two, it's good, but it could be a lot better. But hey, that's life sometimes. That's what happens. And so the match, the ending was teased a lot. And all in all, like the last match, the Sheamus and Bryan match, yeah, you kind of saw the ending coming, but I felt that the ending was teased a little bit too much. Maybe they could have went home a lot more sooner, a lot better than that. But oh well, what can you do? I still appreciate the match. Could have been shorter, but then again, that's speaking in hindsight. The Divas match, not so bad for a Divas match. I mean, you can't really expect too much from a Divas match. What can you do? And finally, the main event. Cena versus Lesnar. Lesnar's attire, I hated it, but again, they were focusing on promoting the storyline. So he was in MMA gear, and throughout the match, he was just beating down the holy hell out of John Cena. In fact, he busted him wide open. You know, he went for moves like the Kimura, like the double leg takedown, the ground and pound, and it was just mostly just Brock Lesnar beating the crap out of him. Now, I have no problems with Cena, as I don't really care for him too much, but I can see why a lot of people just dislike him and dislike the character. Okay, spoiler alert, I don't usually do this, but it's like Brock Lesnar was beating this guy for like 20-25 minutes, just beating the utmost hell out of him. And it's like Cena just comes back out of nowhere. Now, I'm not saying Cena didn't sell or he didn't struggle, but if you watch the Sheamus and Bryan match, okay, you can still see Sheamus doing a lot of selling, where Cena was like, you know, he came back and he was winded and whatnot. But it's like, dude, you got the crap being out of you for like 20 minutes. So I can understand why a lot of people think that Cena's gimmick is so stale, because, you know, the superhero comeback it's just being done way too much. And like I was saying before, dude, you was getting the crap being out of you throughout the whole thing. Now, in actual fights and MMA fights, yeah, that does happen. Sometimes a guy gets his ass whooped and out of nowhere he just hits that home run punch, but still during the interview you can see that he's almost halfway dead. But what can you do? That's the world of professional wrestling. In closing, Extreme Rules, extremely fun night of pro wrestling. But like I said before, sometimes the matches dragged a little bit and the endings could have been done a little bit better. In any event, it's Crazy Mike 1706, horns up. And this video was a challenge to make, all right? Because I had a lot of lighting issues. Anyway, good night.